Hi, Governor Newsom. It's official. The Blue Jays are heading to the World Series to take on your Los Angeles Dodgers.
That's right, Premier. Two great teams, two proud places. Sounds like a perfect time for a friendly wager.
Okay, Governor, you're on. If the Blue Jays win, I'll send you some of Ontario's finest maple syrup in a proper tin can, the way it's meant to be enjoyed. The tariff might cost me a few extra bucks at the border these days, but it'll be worth it for a Jays win.
That's a sweet offer, Premier, but something tells me that syrup is staying north of the border when the Dodgers win. And when they do, I'll send you a bottle of California's championship-worthy wine. And hey, can you do me a favor? Think you can put it on the liquor store shelves?
I don't think so, buddy. Talk to your friend in the Oval Office. I can't wait for the Jays to bring it home. Either way, it's a win-win, great neighbors, great friends, and a little cross-border competition.
Well, couldn't agree more. Here's to great baseball and some friendly bragging rights.
Go Jays.
As a lifelong San Francisco Giants fan, go Dodgers. Here's to a great World Series and a tariff-free friendship between Ontario and California.
So tonight I want to start off by showing you a couple clips. Let's watch them. That's outside the Capitol, yes, on January 6th, where you can hear someone yelling, "Kill 'em, kill 'em, kill 'em." Let's take another view from a different perspective. That's right, in those clips you can hear someone yelling, "Kill 'em, kill 'em, kill 'em." That voice you hear is this man. That's Jared Wise breaking into the Capitol after that scene you saw outside. Now let me delve a little bit into what happens before he breaks into the Capitol, what's happening in that crowd scene you saw at the top. This is what's happening. So Jared Wise is at the Capitol. He is telling law enforcement officers there that they are the Gestapo, they're Nazis, shame on them, he says, shame on them. And he explains that he is actually part of law enforcement or was part of law enforcement. And then when the crowd starts attacking those police officers, he yells out, "Yeah, fuck them, yeah, kill them." And then, as you heard in that video, he repeats, "Kill them, kill them, kill them." Directing violence against these law enforcement officers outside the Capitol. That is Jared Wise. Now, why should you care about this one particular rioter outside the Capitol? Because Jared Wise is now one of the new high-ranking hires at Donald Trump's Justice Department. That's right, that guy egging on violence against police officers, telling rioters to kill cops, has just been appointed to the Justice Department by Donald Trump.
States are now starting to release the actual numbers on what the Republicans' policy changes have done to health insurance costs with this legislation that they've passed this year. This is what the Democrats have been making a stink about. You've heard, like, Democrats are concerned in the shutdown fight about healthcare costs and health insurance, and you think, like, oh, Democrats are always concerned about health costs. That's nice. I care about health costs. I'm glad they're standing up for it. No, it's this specific thing. You want to know what the Democrats are making a stink about with the shutdown? You want to know what the Democratic side is of the fight over the shutdown? Look at these numbers from the New York Times tonight. Look at this. This is for the tens of millions of Americans who get their health insurance through the online marketplaces. Look. Based on the newly posted information, meaning the pricing information that's now being posted in multiple states, a family of four making $130,000 in Maine, so you combine the family's income, everybody's salaries, you got to do $130,000, that family would face an increase in their annual health insurance premiums next year of $16,100. That's how much their health insurance premiums would go up. But maybe that's, that sounds like it's a fairly well-off family, and you think, oh, well, maybe that doesn't apply to me. I'm not quite in that kind of a bracket. Well, imagine you're in a couple, you're each 60 years old, and you put both of your salaries together combined, you make $85,000 a year. So maybe one of you's making 40 grand a year, maybe one of you's making $45,000 a year. Combined, your couple's income is $85,000 a year. In Maryland, your insurance premium is going to go up by $13,700. In Minnesota, your insurance is going to go up by $15,500. In Nevada, it's going to go up by $18,100. In Kentucky, the increase for you guys as a couple will be that you are expected to pay an additional $23,700 per year. That is the amount of increase we are looking at in people's health insurance premiums. Can your family afford just randomly an additional charge of $24,000 for exactly what you're getting right now, for $24,000 less than that? I mean, these are insane numbers. But this is what Republicans, in their policy changes on healthcare, what they have done to health insurance costs. And this specifically is what Democrats have been screaming bloody murder about. This is what Democrats have been drawing the line about in this shutdown, telling Republicans that this is the thing they need to fix. Think they're going to fix it? Think they will? President Trump doesn't appear real focused on it.
Video of a Chicago woman standing up for this guy's civil rights when ICE illegally stopped him, and she knew the law and she called them out and they let him go. Watch this.
How old are you? 17. You're not supposed to stop him. First of all, you guys tried to stop him over there. I was right behind you guys. And I told him to go because you guys were supposed to stop him. It's an illegal traffic stop. Get away from me. Back up. That was an illegal traffic stop.
Look at her.
That was an illegal traffic stop. In Illinois, it's an illegal traffic stop. So get the hell away from it. He's 17. How old are you? What's your name? Axel. And who is this to you? Okay. And what's his name?
Look at this.
They don't have a name. They don't have a name. They are. What's his name? Richard what? Richard Martinez. Do you know his date of birth? No, it's okay. He's 17. You guys detained him for no reason.
Amazing.
Now, what she did appears to be legal. She did not interfere with them. She exercised her first speech rights and noted that I am a witness. You illegally stopped him. Also, him being 17 seems to be an issue here, but that they did an illegal traffic stop. Now, under the law, ICE and immigration have a little more leeway into being basically racists. The Supreme Court has said versus the cops just can't stop you for being Latino. Nonetheless, she seemed to be pointing out some legitimate law because as soon as she pointed it out, they undid his hands. And then later on in the video, you see them leave. Now, in the meantime, she goes and she videos the car. She videos the license plates. She gets the guy to say the last name. Really amazing work by this woman. I will say I am so proud of my fellow Chicagoans for standing up to ICE legally, right? You don't want to do it illegally. You don't want to do it violently. You want to be nonviolent, but standing up to fascism, standing up to extremism, standing up for democracy, standing up for our freedom, standing up for your civil rights, the Bill of Rights. Everybody's doing it in Chicago. So proud of them. This is what more people need to do. Obey the law and defend your rights and defend your country.
I'm only calling you tonight. I know you're a grown man. You don't need me giving you any advice. I'm just saying be careful on that last video. And you get put on a list for saying things like that nowadays. It's true. You talking about how they're acting like Gestapo and stuff. It's true. They do. They are. And you keep saying, I'm asking you to calm down a little bit tonight. I don't want you getting in no trouble.
That was a voicemail I got last night at about 10:40 p.m. because I missed a phone call from my cousin. That was my cousin you heard talking. I grew up in the mountains, as many of you know. That's my cousin who also grew up in the mountains. He still got his country accent. I kind of lost mine. But he still lives in the mountains to this day. And I want to point out something. He's talking about my video where I was going in on the ICE agent who threw the woman to the ground. He said two things that stood out to me. Number one, he said that kind of stuff gets people put on list. This is my cousin, who's MAGA, by the way. My cousin voted for Donald Trump. My cousin argues in favor of Donald Trump. But my cousin's telling me, hey, man, I'm worried about the stuff you're posting. It'll get you put on a list. Now, the thing I'm posting is not bad. The thing I'm doing is exercising my free speech. The thing I'm doing is saying fuck ICE, and I'll forever say fuck ICE. But my MAGA cousin is admitting that this day and age, exercising your free speech will get you put on a list. Secondly, my MAGA cousin said in that voicemail that I was right, that ICE is acting like a bunch of Gestapo. And I really am just, shocked to hear somebody in my family like that admit, hey, shit's going too far. That is why I post. That's why I'll continue to use my voice. That's why I'll continue to use my platform. I need more and more and more people to see what's happening in this country to wake the hell up. I don't care who you voted for. My very MAGA cousin who voted for Donald Trump is admitting that free speech will get you put on a list and that ICE is acting like a bunch of Gestapo. I dare say my cousin might make that transition away from MAGA. He might break away from the cult, and many more MAGA across the country might. But I also want to conclude with this. If my very MAGA cousin can see it and be worried, everybody who's not MAGA should be terrified, and we need to get up, get out, and make this shit end. Listen, I'm talking about non-violent civil disobedience. Organize in your community. Talk to like-minded people in your community. Sound the alarms. Make sure everybody knows what's happening. If you see ICE in your community, document them. Catalog what they're doing. Alert the community. Scream La Migra. Let people know that ICE is there. This is non-violent civil disobedience. And what we're seeing ICE do, by the way, we're seeing ICE attack peaceful protesters. I just need people to realize where we are in this country, because shit's not good. Hey, so for everybody who's turning a blind eye to what ICE is doing in this country, maybe if you see somebody who looks like you going through this shit, you'll listen. Jim, your wife was detained by ICE how many days ago?
80 days ago, the 29th of July.
29 July, 80 days ago, your wife was detained by ICE after you guys came back into country from visiting Ireland.
Correct.
And you were cleared by U.S. Customs in Ireland, correct?
Absolutely.
And how long had your wife been living legally in the United States?
40.
And I think it's important that we point out the word legally because, you know, I've been saying this on my platform. Donald Trump sold everybody this idea that he's going to go after illegal immigrants and criminal immigrants.
That's complete bullshit.
Yes, agree.
The truth is, most of the people in ICE detention are not criminals.
Everything you're turning a blind eye to and letting happen to other communities is coming to your community. So you better wake the fuck up, white people.
Anyone else find it kind of odd that the same folks who have spent the last 5 years or so screaming about Confederate statues needing to stay up because they care so much about history haven't said a fucking word about King Cankle sending a wrecking crew to the east wing of the White House? I just cannot grasp the cognitive dissonance involved in not giving a flying motherfuck that the guy you voted for is going to be sitting in a gilded ballroom with all of his billionaire buddies while you can barely afford your goddamn bills. I mean, shit, fire and save matches, folks. I don't understand how these sumbitches have the ability to stand up straight. It sure don't come from having a spine in their back. American citizens are struggling to put food on their tables and provide for their families, and you're just fine with the Fanta-fascist and all of his friends stuffing their faces from overflowing fucking plates. President Pol Pot and friends are going to be dining in fucking opulence while you or someone you fucking know will be trying to figure out which bill they can afford to pay first and which one's getting the late fee. Farmers have food rotting in fields right now because they were fucked over in the tangerine tyrant's temper tantrum of a trade war, and you're telling us to fret not because at least our felonious leader of the free world will have a place for him and his friends to fucking feast. Y'all are so fucking pathetic that sometimes I don't understand how we come from the same species. The sheer thought of trying to put myself into the mindset of supporting this shit makes me sick to my stomach. You have all failed as people and should be ashamed to show your faces in public for the rest of forever. Rest of y'all have you a wonderful motherfucking day. Keep the motherfucking boots out of your motherfucking mouth, and remember that the golden rule will always remain yeehaw fuck the law. I love y'all, and I'll see you down the line.
We got him. We got O.J.D. Vance, Peter Thiel, and the Walton family. I knew there was something going on about these Arkansas farmers. And you know what? You can get mad at me all you want. Do the frickin' research. J.D. Vance owns a large share of a company called Acre Trader. Same with Peter Thiel, the man that's behind all of this monitoring data center crap to watch you and to watch me. And guess what? The Walton family, one of the richest families in the country. Guess what? They own Acre Trader. You know what Acre Trader does, folks? Acre Trader goes in and buys farmland that can't pay their taxes. And guess what they do? They hire people to go in and work it. It's for profit, and then all of their investors make money off stealing farmland. It only gets better. Guess what? They specialize in taking corn and soybean farms. Huh. Go figure.
Russ Vought is working diligently on is examining how we can fix this mess to ensure that critical funding continues, that we can get people paid. But the Democrats are making that very difficult. And that's why the president put out a statement this morning saying that we're going to start looking across the board at layoffs and at agencies that we feel do not best serve the American taxpayer, that may need to be halted or permanently cut.
So on that, I wanted to ask you about that because he mentioned Russ Vought in that. I think that came out about 8 o'clock this morning about cutting certain programs that they deem are not necessary. Is that real or is that a negotiating tactic?
Oh, it's very real. And the Democrats should know that they put the White House and the president in this position. And if they don't want further harm on their constituents back home, then they need to reopen the government. It's very simple. Pass the clean continuing resolution, and all of this goes away. We would not be having these discussions here at the White House today if not for the Democrats voting to shut the government down. This is an unfortunate consequence, and the president and Russ Vought will be meeting on that later today.
No. Not even a little bit, not even at all. This is what Republicans love to do. Whenever we fight to elevate the minimum wage, to expand Social Security, to make healthcare better in this country, in order to derail that, Republicans love to dangle this shiny object that says, but what if someone not like you gets it? The fact of the matter is, undocumented people do not and cannot access and be covered by the ACA, Medicaid, Medicare, period. There are dozens of laws in the books that enforce that, and that can be a whole other conversation. However, the fact is the Democratic proposal doesn't change that either. We are trying to change the immediate cliff where the ACA, as well as community health center funding and other kinds of healthcare funding, are about to go off a cliff and hurt millions of people.
It's time for the Trucker John Livestream. Gonna be a good time. Oh yeah. The Trucker John Livestream. Come along for a good time. It's a good time, good time, good time, good time. Trucker John Livestream. Gonna be a good time. Gonna be the time of your life. Gonna talk some shit. Hush your mouth. Gonna talk a little smack. Gonna talk whatever comes of it. You're gonna always wanna come back. Well, yeah, it's the Trucker John Livestream. He's the biggest, baddest, funniest mother you've ever seen. Watch your mouth, he's headed south. Not even sure what that means, but if it's one thing I know, the Trucker John Livestream is the best thing you've ever seen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for. Trucker John.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing. Let's see. Am I on? Let's see. Testing, test. Testing, 1, 2, 3. All right. Good morning, everybody. It's 11:26 a.m. in the Pacific time zone here in beautiful Las Vegas. It's currently 75 degrees. We've got an expected high of 86 with your overnight low of 55. Beautiful, wonderful degrees. As you can see, I'm wearing my Dodger gear. I am a Dodger fan through and through thick and thin. Here's my shirt. Just one of, oh, maybe not many, but I have more than one Dodger gear type of stuff. Now I feel like I messed up the shot. But, just to prove a point, basically, that don't confuse my rooting for my team as being any type of a prediction. I didn't predict anything about yesterday's game. I haven't predicted anything about the series. I've never said the Dodgers were going to win in 4 or sweep. I never said they were going to win in 5. I never said they were going to win it in 6. I never said it was going to go to 7. I've never said any of that. But what I have said, and throughout my whole life, is that the Dodgers are my favorite team. And that I always root for them, and I want them to win every game, of course. I've said that. I want them to win every game. They're my favorite team. I want them to go 162 games, 162-0 every season. That's what I want. You know that's not going to happen. That never happens. That would be ridiculous. But I want my team to win every fucking game. That's not a prediction. I didn't predict anything. So therefore, first of all, I see Sandy was first in the chat. Thank you very much. Belfast Bob was second. Now, just so you know, I didn't post this upcoming live stream until after midnight last night, which was well after the game, okay? Well after game 1, where the Dodgers lost 11-4 to the Toronto Blue Jays. And then Jen at the base comes up in here and says, I tried to tell you, TJ, if Snell doesn't have command of his pitches, he's not the same. Instead of 8 innings of one hit ball, you get a lot of extra pitches in a short outing. Okay, and then on Damon Dogg's live stream earlier, Jen was trying to tell me that he told me that like ahead of the game, but like before the game, which is bullshit. This was posted last night after midnight my time. And also what he said there, it's almost verbatim what John Smoltz said. So all Jen Up the Base is doing is regurgitating John Smoltz. John Smoltz, for those of you that don't know, is one of the announcers, one of the game. He's a Hall of Fame pitcher, Atlanta Braves mainly when he pitched, and now he's an announcer, a baseball color analyst, and he was covering the game last night. And he said just what Jen Up the Base said, almost verbatim. Jen Up the Base just regurgitated that. But then he wants to get in my face and act like he's some sort of guru. And then Jen Up the Base says, also, time off in baseball is not good time, especially after the sweep of the Brewers, the Brew Crew. It's okay, Jay. You are a football guy, so you don't know anything about baseball. I'm a baseball guy. First of all, fuck you. And number 2, that's another regurgitation. The time off is not good was completely what all the analysts were already saying. All you're doing is regurgitating. You're trying to come off in here like you're some sort of big baseball guru, and you're not. You're just regurgitating what you're hearing from the baseball analysts on TV. Because I heard the same thing. I watched the same shit, and I heard them say the same thing. And all you did was regurgitate it. So don't come in here and act like you're some sort of baseball guru, because you're not. Okay? And then also, I never, ever, ever predicted anything. I never said that the Dodgers were going to win in 4 games or have a 4-game sweep. Never. What I did say is that I want them to win. They're my team. I want them to win. I didn't say that I predicted that they were going to. I haven't predicted anything because I intentionally did not make any predictions because I don't know how this is going to go. I am aware about the pitchers, and that just because they pitched really, really lights out baseball against the Brewers doesn't mean they're going to do the same thing against the Blue Jays. I know that. I'm not a fucking idiot, Jen. In fact, I think you're the idiot who just regurgitates what you hear and then you try to pass it off as like that's your knowledge. But I never predicted anything. I'm hoping that they win, and I do think that they are the better team, and I do think that they will win. If you want to know the truth, okay, I will go as far as to say I do think the Dodgers are going to rebound, and they are going to win the World Series. I don't know if it's going to be 5 games, 6 games, 7 games. I never once said it was going to be a sweep. Not once. So you can go fuck yourself. And you're this close, actually, Jen, from being fucking booted out of this fucking chat room forever, for life. Because I'm tired of your shit. I think Sandy Foltz was right. All the shit she said, talked about you, turns out Sandy Foltz was probably right. Okay, I got that off my chest. I just had to address it because it's bullshit. And then Roxanne goes on the other chat, you just stepped into something with Jen. Fuck you. I know that that's your boyfriend and you're going to stick up with him, stick up for him. But you don't know, Sandy, respectfully, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about either. You know? Oh, like I really stepped into something. Like he's so big and bad and he knows everything. Fuck him, man. Fuck both of you. Michael McAndrews is here. Epstein Files is here. It's still doing the ats, so I don't know, your real names practically half the time. As you see, Aaron's here. Victor Harshman is here. Thanks for being here in the driver's lounge. There's Nick Rich. Karen Ames is here. Anna Moore. So like TCTTCT, I forget what your other name is, but it says greetings from Germany, so appreciate you coming in from Germany. Tim Farrell says Blue Jays. That's fine. You want to be a Blue Jays fan? Fine. I don't mind that. Just don't come at me and say that I said a bunch of shit that I never said. James Jaramillo is here. Good to see James. Just skipping on down here a little bit. Aaron West says, Dobby won't pee for anyone else but me. Kind of bad when I'm gone at pet sitting. And Jolie's here, so we are at full mod capacity. We've got Aaron and Jolie. Jolie says Trump is trying to make Obamacare as so expensive people can't afford it. Once no one is using it, it'll be easier to get rid of it. He just wants to destroy anything Obama or Biden have done. I think that's true, but I also think that they just don't want to spend the money on it. They want to cut everything so they can have the pay for the tax breaks for the rich. But also, I think what you said is true too. I don't think that Obama likes anything Trump likes anything that Obama or Biden did, and so I think both things are true, probably. All right, let's see. Luck Dragons here says, I am a man without without a lead. I'm a man without a lead. Following in the fog. I hope that you help me see my friend. That is my letter to John. All righty. AMs. Make Anna Moore. I guess that's just AM, right? Or Anna Moore. In the intro, these ice guys, I think, are drunk with power. I think so too. I agree with that. I feel like my phone's gonna fall off or something. It looked a little crooked or looked weird. So Karen Ames says, I need more coffee. All right, get your coffee. Oh, is it Reuben Michaels? Reuben Michaels says the farmers voted for Trump. Now they're going to steal your land. But they'd still vote for Trump again, probably. That's the thing about it. They'd probably still vote for Trump. That's how stupid they are. So yeah, let me fill in this little blank spot here. I've got, let's see, what's this one say? It says, after 18 months of investigation, the New York Times revealed the President of the United States committed hundreds of millions of dollars of tax fraud, possibly one of the biggest scandals in the history of the presidency. And 24 hours later, we're no longer talking about it. Don't let Trump become the new normal in America. It's just where Trump just keeps getting away with, over and over again, he just gets away with everything, seems like. That's the frustrating part, is that this motherfucker should already have been in prison before the election. Christina and Sungo Squad says, I came by to say hello to TJ and chat. I'm visiting my grandmother. She's 97, so I cannot stay. Well, say hello to your grandma for me. It's nice to visit. I'm sure she's glad to have you as a visitor today. Lady, I always want to say Lady Lake. Lady Jaka 22. Otherwise known as Karen Ames, right? Karen Ames. Wonder when they are going to start protesting. I guess you're talking about the farmers. Yeah. Josh is here. Good to see Josh. Luck Dragon says Trump roots for Jack and The Shining, not the boy. Yeah. Probably. Nick Twitch, 11:26. I think I'm 13 minutes behind. Michelle is here. Hey, Michelle, good to see you. Yeah, I'm aware of the score, Nick. We'll see how it goes. It was game one. We'll see if the Dodgers can rebound and get the split. Get a split up there. If not, then they don't. And they go back to LA down 0-2. You know, it is what it is. I've never made any predictions. I only root. I root for my team. Those aren't predictions. Those are rooting. That's a fan rooting for his team. Charlie says, I knew when I read the start of the chat that was how the show was going to start out. Yeah, Roxanne, it set me off because your boyfriend's full of shit. He's worse than Wes Webb. He's worse than WW. He's really, I should just kick him out of the chat for life. Like I said, I know you stick up for him because he's your boyfriend, but maybe you should make better choices in life. Maybe, I don't know. Rethink your choices. I told you that a week ago. Fuck off. You didn't say it a week ago. You said it last night at 12:30 a.m. Fucking 6 hours after the ball game was over. You said the same fucking thing John Smoltz said. Fuck off, Jen of the Base. You're the one digging the hole. DBD, what am I missing? Why would you have said that a week ago when they were still playing the Brewers? I mean, fuck off. You're such a lying idiot. Look, Dragon says, when the Canadians were chanting, "We don't need you" to Otani, they were actually talking to Donald Trump. Sandy says, nobody is really interested in baseball. Football people are very interested. Well. Yeah, Jenna, base, your fucking bullshit triggers me. You lying sack of shit. I bet you're not even a Democrat. I bet you're really just a fucking maggot. That's how much of a fucking lying piece of shit you are. Karen Ames says, I like the Angels, but they got rid of too many good players a long time ago. Jenna Bay says, bye, TJ. Wow, it's only one game, bro. It's not about the game. It's about you being a fucknut. It's about you going into other people's chats and lying about me. On Damon Dogg's live stream, you were fucking lying about me. And on my shorts that I put, it was right there. I posted it right there. What I said. You can go and never fucking come back for as far as I'm concerned, motherfucker. Tim Farrell says, oh no, it's not the Truckers Lounge, it's the Road Rage room. I just don't like liars. Hey, Mr. Spock, who pissed in TJ's Fruit Loops? Hey, do you think triggered is some sort of derogatory term? No, it's not. It means you said something very stupid, and I'm addressing it. And if you don't like it, then tough shit. Like I said, you can fucking leave. You don't have to be here. No one's making you be here. Josh says, this is why I talk about pot instead of sports. Well, it would be the same thing if it's not really about the sport. It's about Jen lying. It's like if Jen said, Trucker John, you said that you like sativa or whatever. I don't know. I don't even know. But and that was the best thing ever. I'm just trying to think of an example. So it's not the topic. It's the fucking line. Jenna Bay says, what did I say that was coming at you was something you didn't say? It was in fucking Damon Dog's live stream. Okay, look, I'm sorry. You must be, I just figured it out. You must have some sort of mental disability or learning disability or brain injury or something. I apologize. I just realized, the light bulb just went off in my head that I'm dealing with someone who has some sort of a brain issue. So guys, I apologize. I didn't realize it because just not like 2 hours ago he was in Damon Dog's live stream and talking shit and saying things that I didn't say, saying that I said things that I didn't say. And if you can't remember that, then there must be something wrong with this man's brain. And so I apologize if I was getting worked up or if I said harsh words to someone who obviously has some sort of a brain injury. So yeah, my bad. I didn't know I was dealing with someone with a severe disability like that. Let's see. I don't know if I skipped anybody. I probably did because Jennifer Base has got me all, just making it about him. That's what he does. Just makes it about him. Nick Rich says you can tell folks who you're normally seen as if you like the only thing missing in the chat will be the highlight. Yeah, I don't know why they're doing it. I did send YouTube a little feedback thing that I can send to them, and I just told them that everybody in my chat is complaining about the at, the names being with their at name, and everyone hates it. And I said, could you please turn it back? And I sent that to them. I don't know if that will do anything, guys. If that will change anything, but at least I tried. DPD 5844 says, why is no one concerned about the dark entity that is funding the military during the shutdown? This is bullshit. What are they getting back in return for getting the bill? Does the military even care? I hadn't really heard of this dark entity that is funding the military. I just thought they were just taking it out of the military budget. They've got a $1 trillion military budget. So I thought maybe they were somehow reallocating funds out of that and putting it in a payroll or something. But I don't know. I don't know how they're getting funded exactly, Bethany S. Arbaugh says, you are probably right, Trucker John. Many of the farmers like Trump. They're triple Trumpers, as IHIP would say. They're triple Trumpers, and they would be quadruple Trumpers if they have a chance. Yeah, Karen Ames says Trump has been a criminal for many decades. Just hasn't had his ugly orange ass tossed in prison. I know, and he should have been tossed in prison years ago. Jolie says, Jen of the base is accusing him of something he didn't say. That's one way to really piss him off. Jolie knows me. Look, Dragon says the Dodgers made a bad mistake by actually starting Ohtani in Game 1. He should have been saved until Game 3. That is my personal baseball opinion, even though I am not a Dodgers fan. Well, last night Ohtani didn't start. He just DH'd, but Ohtani didn't start last. It was Blake Snell that started. Ohtani batted as a designated hitter because he's a two-way player. He hits and he pitches. But Blake Snell was the starter for the Dodgers last night, not Ohtani. Nick Rich, John can't be serious about banning anyone. I said I was this close. I haven't done it. Maybe he's self-banned by now, because I don't know. But I was this close, but I didn't do it, Nick. I didn't do it. But what if I did? Who cares? There'd be less, one less riffraff for me to have to worry about. He's probably just a MAGA troll anyhow. Infiltrated. He's just like a spy for MAGA, probably. Look, Dragon says baseball is my favorite sport because it's the one that I am best at. Not only that, but I met Ricky Henderson, go A's. The late, great Ricky Henderson just passed away. Was it earlier this year or last year? Where Ricky Henderson, at a pretty young age. I think we're like the same age, and Ricky Henderson already passed away. But yeah, one of the greatest base stealers in history. I think actually the greatest base stealer, I think, in history. I think he holds all the records for base stealing. Sandy Foltz, I told you he was nothing but a troublemaker. I know. You warned me. You warned me, Sandy. I know. I didn't listen. Josh sees, quick, put some whiskey in the coffee. I wonder how Hennessy would taste in my coffee, because I still have that bottle. 72. Oops, what did I come into? I was airing my grievances. I know it's not quite Festivus yet, but getting an early start. Roxanne says, I wish we could rewind and start all over. Well, I'm sorry if I offended Roxanne. She didn't deserve any of that. But Roxanne, you didn't deserve anything that I said, but Jen did, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. James Hunter Mio says, let's hit the reset here. We're all supposed to be on the same team, right? Well, I'm questioning Jen's team at this point. I think he's a secret MAGA. Look, Dragon says, Trucker John, your anger right now is masking any anger towards the Raiders. You don't understand. We are all on the same team, but at least you're in the World Series. Look, it doesn't. It has nothing to do with any of that. It just has to do with someone representing me in a way that was incorrect. Look, Dragon says baseball is a beautiful sport. Oh, there was no question mark there. David Weiss from Colorado is here, from Denver. David from Denver. Hello, David. Good to see you. Luck Dragon says, when I played baseball as a child, I didn't like if I didn't like, I guess, the batter, I would just hit him on purpose. Wow. That's dirty, man. You were a dirty player. DBD5844 says, did anyone see Drunk Pete's Top Gun infomercial? This slimy fucker had the audacity to cosplay with $2 million aircraft, pretending as if he's some maverick wannabe. How pathetic and disgraceful. It is pathetic and disgraceful. And it just shows again and again and again, from Trump on down through all his administration, this is just a big game to them. They're just having fun on the taxpayers' dime. They don't mind dropping millions of dollars for their cosplay. You know, Kash Patel gets to dress up and pretend like he's, you know, an FBI, like he's a, you know, a big, like a field operator or whatever. Kristi Noem gets to dress up in her fucking gear and pretend, you know, she's some big badass. And Pete Hegseth, yeah, you know, they don't give a fuck. They're just going to play on the taxpayers' money. And meanwhile, the taxpayers are starving to death and are going to be out on the street pretty soon. But these motherfuckers don't care because they're having fun at our expense. Nick Rich says John is way behind in the chat, but responds to things in the chat out of sync. I'm just going down the chat. Josh says it's only on half the channels I watch. You're talking about the at thing. Search for You says I'm carrying my LA Dodgers purse. I was so cute at the grocery store. DBD says, TJ, I think you need to open the bottle of Hennessy right now and breathe. Tim Farrell says, I don't have a brain injury. I wasn't talking about you, but my head is hurting more and more as the hole in the wall. More as the hole in the wall maybe just grows. But anyhow, just so you know, Tim, I was talking about Jen at the base about the brain injury thing. Look, Dragon TJ, I predict LA for Toronto 3, Game 2. All right, that's fine. Josh says I never bothered with the at unless I was trying to get someone's attention. I mostly talk to people who are already reading chat. DPD 5844 says the orange pedophile admitted that one of his friends is footing the bill for the military. That's a pretty big bill, I would imagine. To pay the entire military? How much would that fucking cost? I mean, even for a rich person, that's a lot of money. I would think. Roxanne Sarah says, TJ, you probably skipped my apology, but I wish I could have deleted that post. I knew it would upset you, and I only meant for you to ignore it, not to defend him, which I usually do defend him. Now I'm sad. Well, I'm sad, Roxanne, that I said mean things to you, and I do apologize to you, Roxanne. Because it's not fair to like bring you into it. This is like between me and Jen. And so it's not fair for me to take my anger out on you. And so I apologize to you, Roxanne. Petrazi is here. Petrazi 1920. Good to see you. Look, Dragon says, I am a team without Otani. See, I was just testing the audience in your chat. I don't think, but 2% of them know Otani didn't start last night. Oh, okay. You were just testing the chat, were you? All right. If you say so. Tim Farrell says, I met and briefly played with Bill Lee. He was one of my favorite players as a kid. Perfect example of saying, don't meet your heroes. Uh-oh. That doesn't sound good. So Bill Lee was an a-hole, huh? Look, Dragon says, Ricky Henderson is my all-time favorite baseball player, and it's not because he's a thief. Well, that was a big part of his game, was stealing bases. I mean, he did other things too. He was a great hitter. I think he had a lot of leadoff home runs. Even he was usually a leadoff hitter, but he had some pop in the bat. He could hit the ball out of the park. I think he was a great fielder. He was a great all-around ball player. Yeah, not just stealing. Yeah. Hey, Robert Perez is here down in San Diego way. Good to see you, Robert. Good. Thanks for coming on in. Or Bob Perez, as it says here, says, I don't want to see Otani Tojo bowing to Trump ever again. So I'm going for Toronto, Canada this year. I didn't even see that. So I missed that. Ruben Michael says Ricky Henderson MLB stolen base record stands at 1,406. Wow. Twisted Nerve Paintings here. Hey, Twisted Nerve, good to see you. Thanks for popping on in. Thanks for coming on in. Petrazi 1920 says, I feel bad for the children, elderly, and disabled who are going to lose their SNAP in November. Yeah, again, that's going to knock 45 million people off of SNAP, or people are getting SNAP. It's about 45 million people. So 45 million people are going to go hungry now, all because of what I think is still another big distraction for the Epstein files. I think it all comes back to that, too. Nick Chris says 12 noon. I'm only 5 minutes behind, Nick. I may have skipped down a lot, though. I might have skipped down a bit. Roxanne says he's a sports fanatic, yes, but he's absolutely a progressive TJ. That's for sure. I'd never date a maggot. I fell in love watching him school MAGA trolls. He's got dry humor and sarcasm for sure. All right, Roxanne. I know. I just wanted to, call him a maggot because I thought that would just really piss him off, No one who's not a maggot wants to be called a maggot. So that was just my way, trying to really hurt him. I know, Roxanne. I know. I'm just looking at my TV screen because something was playing, and now it just says live on Substack. But anyhow, Jill Branton says, "Go Blue Jays if you have a stadium that allows people to open their curtains and have sex on camera. You go." I know. I think I've heard about that, right? Because don't they have like hotel rooms or something, or maybe those are suites or something, right? And I think that happened a long time ago. I don't know or is it just a common thing that happens now? Kind of like being in the Mile High Club. It's like, let's be in the Toronto Blue Jay Club. Yeah, Petrozzi says billions. As far as the I guess maybe talking about the payroll for the military. I don't know how even if you're a billionaire, how you could pay for that. You know, maybe 1 month. I don't know. Those guys don't usually want to just, spend their money like that unless he's getting something really good back in return, right? Bob Perez says, I'm losing my SNAP next month, but I'm donating my blood plasma for food next month. See, that's so bad. That's so terrible, Bob. Robert Perez, I hate to hear that. I'm so sorry to hear that, and it's disgusting what these Republicans are doing. How they're just inflicting so much pain on the American people. But I guess the only maybe solace we can take away from it is that more and more people are finally waking up to who really is at fault. That it's not Joe Biden, and it's not the Democrats. I think more and more people are waking up and seeing that this is Donald Trump and the Republicans, in Congress. Roxanne says, thanks, EJ. I appreciate that. Hugs. I love our community. It means a lot to me. And I love that you're here. I like when Jen's here when he doesn't lie about things that I said. Okay? James Armio says, Petrozzi 1920, maybe that's why rumors are floating that there is a bunker being built under the ballroom. Millions of people are going to be pissed. Well, now I've heard that, now you just said the ballroom or a bunker's being built under the ballroom. I heard that he was just like remodeling the existing bunker, because there's already a bunker. They already have an underground bunker there. So who knows what the real truth is? But I think it always comes back to distracting us from the Epstein files. In fact, I need to put my sign out. I need to put the sign out. Let's not forget that. Release the Epstein files. Everything they're doing, they're trying to keep us off of that topic, off of that subject. Sandy says, how do you know that Gin Up the Base has mental health issues? It's not nice to say that stuff like that on here. You probably hurt his feelings. Sandy, you're right. You're absolutely right. That was me just trying to hurt him because of my anger. That's why I called him a maggot, and that's why although it did kind of make sense that maybe there was something wrong with his memory, since he had just done what I said he had done. He did like 2 hours earlier. But anyhow, you're right. Making jokes, or not that was really a joke, but maybe falsely accusing or just throwing around an issue like that about learning disabilities or mental health or mental disabilities or brain injuries or anything like that. It's not funny, and I shouldn't do that. You're right. So you're right, Sandy. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I shouldn't do that. But still, as far as baseball related and things I said baseball wise, I still stand by that. Roxanne says, Robert Perez, hello, honey, good to see you. That breaks my heart. I know a lot of people standing in lines in food banks and food pantries. I'm praying for everyone in the same dire situation. Jill Bratton says, I feel bad for federal workers and military that are going to food banks and the people that rely on them. I feel bad for everyone who's doing this, and we shouldn't have to. The thing is this shouldn't be happening. This should not be happening. Donald Trump was handed to him the best economy in the world. That was what was handed off to him from Joe Biden. And in 10 months, we're seeing people having to go to food banks. Inflation is rising. Unemployment is rising. And we're only, 10 or 11 months into his administration. And it shouldn't be this way. But it just goes to show you how the Republicans really don't give a rat's ass about the people. They really, really don't. They don't care if they crash the economy because they can play the dip. They can buy. They like to scoop everything up when it's low. That's what that acre things, that buying those farms and stuff. They love that shit, and so they don't give a fuck. They probably like it when a Democrat wins after they've been in for 8 years or something, because everything has crashed, and then they know the Democrats will go in and start cleaning up the economy, and things will start getting better, and real estate and these things will start going back up in value, and all these fucking scumbags. I'm not saying if you buy low that you're a scumbag, but these ones that were a part of it, a part of making it that way, and who were a part of manipulating the economy so that the economy did crash and the housing markets crashed and real estate values crashed, they're a part of it. They're involved. And they're the ones scooping in things at pennies on the dollar. And then, like I say, after a couple of terms of getting all this, what they want, they probably want a Democrat to win, and Democrats to win Congress or whatever, so that they will improve the economy, and then they can start. And then when it starts to peak, they'll sell everything, and they make billions and billions and billions of dollars. It's all a fucking game to them, and they don't give a fuck how many people they kill in the process, because believe me, people are going to die. People are going to lose their health care, and they are going to die. People are going to lose SNAP, and they're going to die. People are going to lose these benefits, Medicaid and Medicare, health care. They're going to die. And these Republicans don't give a rat's ass. As long as they can go in and make a fortune off of it. They're just making a fortune off of our misfortune. Yeah, Karen Ames says Newsom, California Governor Newsom, is having the National Guard there work at the food banks. Adopt, Don't Shop one is here. Good to see us. Says Dump is willing to kill 45 million of us to hide his pedophilia. Yeah, that. Yep. Like I said, it's all about the distraction. Luck Dragon says, I have come to a fork in the road. Empathy or non-empathy? Twisted Nerves Painting says, soon they will, I don't know if is it lack snap? Is it block snap? I don't know. And have their insurance premiums either canceled or cost so much they can no longer afford them. Susie Jones says, I'm one of those SNAP people. I just received my letter Thursday saying that benefits are suspended until further notice due to the governmental shutdown, or the government shutdown. Trazi 20 says, I think it's by design. I don't believe Trump is doing this to hurt the most. I don't believe Trump is doing this to hurt the most vulnerable. I don't think Trump gives a rat's ass about the most vulnerable. I think he's doing it for the distraction because he knows that the Epstein files are probably going to be his doing in if they ever get released. And also, he wants those cuts so he can pay for the tax breaks for the rich. Josh, these any bug problem updates? There was another one yesterday. I went over to the kitchen by the counter there to make a sandwich or something, and I felt something crawling up the back of my leg, and it was a fucking bug. And I just sort of like went, oh, and I kind of flicked it off, or and then I wasn't able to kill it because it ran under like the counter. So they're able to just get under the counter. There's probably like 5 billion of them underneath the counter there. So now the count, I think, is up to 6. I think I've seen 6 since the last big spray, which is about a week and a half ago now. So I've seen 6. They're going to have another spray this Wednesday, another big spray. And then after that, I told you I'm going to put the combat, those little combat traps. They're called combat. They're little round black traps or not really traps, but they I guess the bugs go in. I guess they take some stuff, the food or whatever that's inside there, and they take it back to the nest. And then it's a poison, so it's supposed to kill all the bugs that will eat that food that they bring back to the nest. But so far, so in the last 10 days, I have seen 6 bugs, I think. And the thing about it is I'll go a few days without seeing any, and I'm like, oh, okay, it looks good. Maybe they're not around, and then all of a sudden I'll see one, and then that if you see one, that there's like a billion more hiding behind stuff that you're not seeing, behind the walls, behind the counters, behind the cabinets, underneath the cabinets. There's probably like 5 trillion of them in there. Sandy Fole says, if the government gets back in business, then the food stamps will come in. Yeah, hopefully. So far, I think didn't they say we're now at like the longest shutdown in government history or U.S. history? How many people got to starve in the meantime? I don't know. I guess this is a battle of wills to see who's going to blink first, who's going to give in first, because the Democrats are pretty set on holding out to get those health subsidies put back in. That's the holdup. The Democrats are trying to at least get those premiums, those subsidies, to go back in, so that the premiums won't go up 2 or 3 and 4 times. And the Republicans are just dead set on not doing it, not getting it. So it's just it's like a game of chicken. They're playing a game of chicken, but we're the ones out here, the regular folks. We're the ones that are, facing the consequences of it. Mr. Spock, every day you're going to say this. Get some powdered boric acid for the roaches. It's cheap and lasts forever. I don't mess with that shit, dude. I don't mess with that shit. I've got the combat. things, I'll put those out. I don't know. I don't even know what boric acid is. You know, I don't even have a car, so I'm supposed to run around town looking for boric acid. Thanks for the advice, but you know, I'm not going to be putting diatomaceous earth and boric acid. I'm not going to put. Someone put leaves out and shit. I'm going to try the combat. Let's try those combat things and see how those work. Fancy swears by them. And speaking of Fancy, hopefully Fancy's doing okay. Apparently she's feeling better. She was in the Damon Dog live stream chat this morning, and I said hi to her. And I just said, I hope you're feeling better. And she said, yeah, she was feeling better. I still don't know what happened to get her in that, in the hospital in the first place. But anyhow, Fancy does seem to be feeling better. But I just brought her up because Fancy's the one that told me about the combat traps. So I'll try those. Jill Brenton, they still need us to clean their toilets. What is their end game? Their end game is to just basically have no government spending other than for military, just military spending, basically, and maybe just a few other little things, and then have extremely rich people not pay any taxes and not have any regulations for anything that they want to do, for any of their businesses or whatever. That's their end game, and to keep it that way. DBD 5844 says, did anyone see Bill Maher defending the Nazi pedo yet again? Michael Still was visibly upset about the destruction of the White House. Maher brushed it off and said, it's just a building. Yeah, I watched that last night, DPD. I did. And I was pretty disgusted. Yeah. It's just a building. Fuck you, Bill Maher. How about we go tear down your fucking house and then we'll just say it's a fucking building? But having said that, I mean, it is just a building. But I understand. That's the freaking White House. It does have a lot of history, and it has a lot of meaning. It is symbolic. It is iconic. And it is very sad for him to do that. And I think the most frustrating thing, for me anyhow, is that he just did it. He didn't get congressional approval. He didn't get, he didn't submit any plans. He just fucking did it. That's what gets me, I think, more than anything. And the fact that he's putting up something that's completely stupid and unnecessary. Susie Jones says energy assistance is also being held up for the same reason. Funding already approved by Congress, but Dinky $2 put the stop on it. Dinky $2. Josh says Republicans probably figure they don't get much donor money from people on SNAP, even in red states. They probably don't get much donor money, but they do get their votes. And they're going to be losing a lot of those votes, I think. Roxanne says, fair enough, TJ. I'm so relieved. I'm not exactly sure what you're relieved about. Other than that, I said I was sorry. And, I probably did go a little overboard. I probably did go a little overboard. How I do. Nick Rich released the Epstein files. Susie Jones says, Karen Ames, I fell asleep during Hal's show and woke up at Cliff's, watched some food videos, and here I am. Here I am. Were you brought to us like a hurricane? Jill Bratton said, Kitty Couric did a great interview with Jennifer's ghostwriter. Oh, I kind of heard about that. I didn't see it, but I did hear that Jennifer Guiffre's ghostwriter of her book said she's got like every name that's on the list and like videos to back it up and audio and all this shit. So release that shit, I say. Release it. Release. If they're not going to release the Epstein files, then whoever else has Epstein files should release them. In my humble opinion. James Jaramillo says, imagine how badly the grocery stores are going to take a beating when SNAP is gone, at least for now. Yeah, that was money. That was what was always called getting a bang for your buck when it comes to tax dollars. Because a lot of tax dollars don't bring anything back. Like a return on return on investment or whatever. But like with SNAP, you know, since that money, I just saw something like a weird reflection. For every dollar spent, it's like $1.80 comes back or something like that. However they figure it, and people take those SNAP benefits, and what do? They go down to Albertsons. They go down to, what was it back east? BJ's. They go to the Piggly Wiggly. They go to whatever, right? They go shopping. They go to Ralph's. They go to Vaughn's. They go to Stater Brothers. They go to Kroger's or whatever it's called, and they do some shopping, and that stimulates the economy. That is an economic stimulus. But these fucking Republicans don't care, and I bet you Donald Trump doesn't even know any of that. He doesn't know how economic stimulus works. But I bet you Stephen Miller does. I bet you some of those fuckers do. But they don't care. They don't give a rat's ass. They don't give a fuck. I guess Karen Ames says it was bad enough that our tent went up almost $200 a month in September. Now no SNAP. I guess you meant rent. Because I was like, you put a tent up, but your rent went up almost $200 a month. Yeah, that sucks. And now, no SNAP. It's horrible. It doesn't just suck. I hate that where I just go, oh, that sucks. Like it. I don't mean to trivialize it. It's more than just it sucks. It's horrible. What's going on? It's fucking horrible. Yeah, Susie Jones says the ripple effect of SNAP is going to hurt big grocery stores like Walmart big time. Yeah, it's all going to come. It's going to hurt them. But I wonder if they even care. I mean, I know that they don't like to lose money, even though they're already multi-billion-dollar company, and all the Walmart heirs are all multi-billionaires. But will that wake them up? Will that make them, if they start seeing their sales go down because people don't have SNAP anymore to go buy food, are they going to put pressure on Trump? because they could just say like, we're not going to support you anymore. We're not going to donate to you anymore. That's how they would put pressure on, I guess. They could really put pressure and say, we're going to primary you, or we're going to start backing Democrats, for Christ's sake. Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be amazing? Ruben Michael says, my home is overvalued. My property taxes are through the roof. Try to get it reappraised with the county or the state that you're in. If your home value has dropped, you can get it reappraised with the appraiser's office that does the property taxes. I would highly recommend it. If there's been a big drop, I would highly recommend you getting in touch with them and getting a reappraisal, and especially if you can show that the values have dropped, because you shouldn't be paying property tax on something that was valued at a high market from 2 or 3 years ago, or however many years ago, and now if everything is tanking, then you should get the reappraised value. You should be taxed on that reappraised value. I had to do that because I did that in California when my house was being assessed. This is the assessor, that county assessor's office. My property was being assessed from a high from when they had the big like pre 2008 2000, like from 2006 or something, and then everything fucking went to shit. Everything went down when the housing market burst, and they sent me a tax notice, and I said, and they says they appraised value, and I was like, no fucking way is my property that at that value anymore. And so I did get it reduced. They did do a reassessment, and they knocked it down a lot. Karen Ames says the percentage of red states are higher on SNAP and mostly white people. Yeah, that's true. All of this is going to hurt the red states more. What will that translate to in the future? What will that translate to in the next year's congressional midterm elections? Jill Bratton says Primo's is out of Texas, and they haven't raised art prices. Yes, online. Twisted Nerds Painting says yes. Says they sure are, but people like my wife and I used that as the only chance we had of ever owning a home and bought a distressed short sale. See, that's different. Short sale from an internet bank on the cheap. And I don't have any problem with that, Twisted Nerds. I don't have any problem with that whatsoever. I mean, things happen, and then with other people, they lose their houses for a variety of reasons. And if you're able to find a property, and get it on the cheap, that's fine. I'm not really complaining about that. But I'm talking about these people that are actually shaping government and manipulating government to manipulate the markets, like the housing market and the farms. I'm talking about the oligarchs and the people that they're controlling in the administration and in Congress. so that they can go up, and they're not just going to buy one house and to live in, like you did. They're going to swoop in. They're going to buy hundreds of houses. They're going to buy thousands of houses and apartments, and swoop them up because they're that rich. They can go swoop up all these properties, and probably restaurants or commercial properties, all of that. But they are directly involved with shaping government policy. That's what I. So yeah, I'm not. I don't want anyone to think that, because I've been involved with buying houses on the cheap like that with my ex. She did that. I mean, we were together, but she was the one doing all that. But and she bought a bunch of houses, and I had no problem with that. I mean, for her doing that, I mean that helped raise our kids, and put our kids in college and stuff. So, I'm not talking about just private investors and that find houses on the cheap and rehab them and flip them or rent them out. I'm not really talking about that. But I'm talking about these big oligarchs, these billionaires, and that they do whatever they can to get a Donald Trump in power, because they know that Donald Trump or George W. Bush or whoever it is going to, at the very least, is going to, if not send us into a Great Depression, is going to send us into a recession and is going to wreak havoc. That's going to actually benefit them when they buy things that are distressed and for pennies on the dollar. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about just the normal everyday people, or even just even some of the what we would consider wealthy investors, but they're not like getting Trump into power. And I think a lot of these motherfuckers, these oligarchs, we could put the blame on them for getting Trump into power. A lot of the blame because of their backing, their financial backing. One Vision's here. Hey, One Vision, good to see you. One Vision says U.S. Army pays its employees an average of $78,323 a year. There are 2.1 million people in the entire U.S. Armed Forces. Let's math. 70,000 times 2.1 million equals $16 billion a year. So it's $16 billion a year. I don't know who this this dark entity or whatever that's financing it, and so maybe they're just doing it, month by month. So that comes to how many per month? A little over $1 billion a month, right? Because $1 billion a month would be $12 billion a year. So, so there's someone, I guess, who I'm sure there are billionaires that could, I guess, afford 1.5 or $1 billion a month or whatever it would be, and they're hoping that it's not going to be too many months, or at some point they're just going to go, okay, I am not going to keep doing this. Susie Jones says it's not me I'm sad about, it's the kids. I can't help by cooking big pot dinners and sharing with them. Karen Ames says we lost our home when my husband had a truck accident at work back in 2010. It immediately put him on disability. Look Dragon says trickle down in economics only works if you have a king, a leader of all leaders like Trump. I'm confused. Yeah, trickle down is only good for the people at the top that are already at the top. It doesn't trickle down. The thing is, it doesn't work. Nothing trickles down. We're not getting anything. Us people down here, we don't even get crumbs or drops. That's how bad trickle down is. It's a failed policy. We've seen it fail over and over and over again. Um, here's Wes Webb. Wes Webb says all the Dems need to do is wait it out and let the tax cuts lapse. Oh yeah, so easy for you to say. Let's just wait it out. In the meantime, people are dying of starvation. People are dying from not getting health care. But yeah, we'll just wait it out. I mean, we might not have any choice to wait it out, but that doesn't mean that people aren't going to die because of these things that the Republicans are doing. Adopt, don't shop. It says blue states need to withhold their federal funds. All we do is fund red states anyway. I know people keep saying that, and I just wonder if that's even possible. I mean, I guess it is. I wonder, but I wonder what that would entail. What would be the federal government's response? I just wonder how that would play out, and how. Not that I disagree. I mean, yeah, with that tactic, but I don't think it's ever been done before. So I wonder if how they do that. I guess each state can they're able to just shut off the flow of the money going to the federal government, and then what happens in response to that? And if they did do that, they should do it all in lockstep. Like all the blue states should do it all together. It shouldn't just be just California. Let's just say. I think it should be, or at least California, Illinois, New York. Just think of just those three states alone did that. That would be a real kick in the balls, to the federal government. DPD 5844 says Amazon has plans to replace more than 500,000 jobs with robots. They plan to automate 75% of its operators. More and more companies are heading into this direction. No more HC, I guess, healthcare or 401k1 plans. What are we going to do? Because companies are, they're allowed to do that if the technology is such that they can do things and they don't have to hire the workers, the actual human being workers. They're allowed to do that. That's not against the law. And I'm not even sure if it's unethical, actually. I mean, all companies and factories and businesses have been updating technology, and we've been having reductions of force for decades and decades and decades as technology improved. Now we're just getting to the point where we can pretty much eliminate humans altogether. So yeah, what are we going to do then? I mean, since we are a consumer-based economy, everything's based on people having jobs and having money to spend and putting that money into the economy. That's the stimulus. That's what stimulates the economy, is basically jobs and people having paychecks to spend. What's going to happen when there's no jobs? Everything's done by robots. What are we going to do? I mean, there's got to be, that's the thing that's looming over us. That's the future. And how is the government going to respond to that? I mean, we talk about things like UBI. But they're going to have to do something because, like we've said before, like, you know, billionaires can only buy so many yachts and so many houses, and they need to have a good consumer base to buy their shit. So I don't know what we're going to go into. Susie Jones says the House of Representatives has only been in session 20% of the last 300 days. Yeah, nice gig, huh? They get paid a nice salary, and they don't do anything. Ruben Michael says drunken Hegseth told the U.S. Navy to blow away people in boats and say they were drug traffickers, lies to start a war in Venezuela and Colombia. America is not prepared to fight a war in the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. Jolie says, yes, kill the nest. Yeah. Jolie says, I told you to use those traps forever ago. That's right. It was Jolie and Fancy. Both. Yes. Let me clean my glasses real quick. I feel like my glasses are fogging up or something. Anyhow, so Josie, I told you to get those traps forever ago. We had bugs once years ago, and now I keep those out here just in case. Change 2 times a year, and have never had a problem again. I'm looking forward to putting them out. Like I said, I'm just going to wait until they do the next spray, because on the instructions it said something, don't put them out if you're going to spray or something like that. So I think I'll do the spray, and then maybe I'll wait. I might even wait like another week after that or something, and then put them out. But that's, yeah. But I got them. I got the box, like about a box of 12. Twist Nurse says, my wife made some homemade tortilla chips from homemade tortillas. That sounds good. Jill Bratton says Dems need a 2026 agenda. I vote for them as an anti-Trumper, but fix the PAC money. There's lots of things that need to be fixed. We got to get back in power. We got to get back in the majority. You know? Yeah, Christina says Fancy is home. Damon Dog says I saw Fancy earlier. Yeah, she was in your live stream, and she said that she was feeling much better. Mr. Spock, Amazon has it, $14. Is that the boric acid? I'm going to try the traps and see how that goes. Karen Ames says it's called borax. Well, I know what borax. I didn't know that. Yeah, boric acid. I guess that makes sense. Familiar with the old borax there. They got the big borax mining facility out in Boron. One Vision says boric acid has been around for 100 years. It works. Like I said, I'm not. I'm going to do the combat trap thingy. Luck Dragon says every Sunday morning, me and my 4 friends sit around in a circle and smoke a joint and call out our favorite disease while we pass it to the other. It's like, did you mean Russian roulette for stoners? Tim Farrell, I can vouch for the diet tomatoes. It's safe and easy. Karen Ames, I always keep a box of borax around. Borax. Is it borax or borax? Anyhow. Tim Farrell's heading out. Hey, Tim, you're probably gone by now. I know I'm really behind, so thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Twisted Nerve says their end game, they want the Founders' Constitution back the way it was before all the amendments, except for the first 10, which were the Bill of Rights, which were done at the same time. Well, anyhow, before the forming of the Second Republic. Really, Twisted Nerve, I never thought of that. I never heard that. Kristen Weibel says it's simple. People dying in the end, cutting off food stamps to 42 million people. I don't know if it's simple. I don't know if there's any simple logic to it, other than maybe it is simple. I still stand by the fact that it's all about no taxes for the rich and stripping away regulations for their companies. It always comes back to that. And now we have also the distraction of the Epstein files. I think it's going to come back to that. There might be a few lunatics in there with the eugenics and the whatever, and wanting to have a bunch of people die, like fucking, what's that weirdo that looks like he's got a fucking corn cob stuck up his ass. There might be a few of those weirdos in there, but for the most part, I think it just comes down to the age-old Republican thing. No taxes, no regulations. One Vision says, Trucker John, also heat. Heat kills bugs. I've got the AC on right now. I'm not going to turn the heater on. All right, skipping down a little bit. Let's see. I guess Anna Moore. I guess it's AM Anna Moore. TJ, I think something is wrong with my chat, which is unusual. So I apologize to you all, and hello again to all fellow loungers. I don't know. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I know they have the ats profile names, but that's not on you. That's on YouTube. Karen Ames says he's a dictator, not a president. 007 Kevin Trollslayer is here. Hello, 007. I'm trying to remember your original name. 007 Kevin Trollslayer. Thanks for being here. I do appreciate you coming on in. Josh says Spock. I might try it along with the dialed measures for ants. One Vision says, Trucker John, leave your place for 3 days in the summer. Let the house cook bugs dead. Well, maybe next summer, if the combat traps aren't working, and if the diatomaceous earth isn't working, and the boric acid doesn't work, or then maybe I'll do that. Maybe in the heat of the summer. But we're a ways away from that. So. MJ Daniel says, what Congress? Fuck every Republican forever for this shit show. That was MJ Daniels from up in Washington State. Good to see you. Thanks for coming on in to the old Driver's Lounge. I do appreciate you. Jill Brandt says Bill Maher is unwatchable and has been for too long. Same with the stupid British guy that just wants viral stuff. You talking about John Oliver? I like John Oliver. MJ Daniels says, and now we have billionaires paying the military. Are we in full-on fascism? That sounds like fascism, right? Yeah. When you have the blending of government and with oligarchs and with the military being really more beholden to them than they are to the government and to the people and to the Constitution. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, must be a duck. One Vision says, raucous like a hurricane. I was at the Def Leppard concert during the hurricane. Which hurricane? There's been more than one, I think. John Deff says, hey, TJ and friends, taking a break from yard work. Yeah, take a little break. Twisted Nerves Painting says, indeed, MJ Daniel, that throne room is going to be an obscene symbol of power. It is Trump telling the entire world that he has the power to do what he likes and the American people, with the American people's money. That's what I was thinking too, that there'll probably be some big gaudy ass fucking like Game of Thrones throne, except it'll be all gold. Man, I drank all my coffee and I drank all my water. MJ Daniel says, losing Snap will hurt rural Republican areas the worst, and they are about to find out. There will be a ripple effect. They are going to find out. I just hope they learn the right lesson from it. I hope they learn that the Republican Party and Trump in particular is not their friend, that they don't operate with their best interests at heart. They don't. I hope they finally learn that lesson. I hope they finally learn that if it wasn't for Democratic policies, if it wasn't for Democratic members of Congress and presidents that would sign these things into law, that would get them SNAP benefits, that would get them some welfare or relief or public assistance, that would help to raise the floor and to help with a safety social net, so that so fewer and fewer people fall all the way to the floor, but get saved by the safety net. That all of that stuff was brought to you, thank you very much, by the Democratic Party and not the Republicans. The Republicans don't want any of that shit. They don't want to have anything to do with it. It's all just pick yourself up by the bootstraps and If you don't have any bootstraps, then fuck you. Hopefully more and more of these folks in the red states will finally learn that. And they will remember that when it comes time to voting. Mr. Spock says, have you thought about an escape plan if things go south quickly? TJ, open question chat. I really haven't, other than running back to California and crashing at my daughter's house. That's my escape plan. Fortunately, it's only like a 2-hour, it's about a 4-hour drive, I guess. David Dog say, hey, John, Def, I don't have a car, but I will fucking get a car. I'll fucking steal a car if I have to. If it gets as bad as whatever it is you're thinking, where people have to escape, I'll fucking steal a car, a truck, whatever. I'll fucking get a cab from the cab company, and I will drive home to California. If things are that bad where it doesn't matter anymore, as far as like if you stole a car or not. I'm talking about like, when the shit really hits the fan. If that's what you're talking about, Spock. If it's the point where you gotta escape, I'm assuming that means stealing cars might be an acceptable thing to do, and I will get my lily white ass back to California. People can shit talk California all they want, but that might be one of the few safe havens in the country without having to go to Canada, if that's what you're thinking, Mr. Spock, about us coming up there to you, which I don't, not against that, but I think California might just become a part of Canada at some point. MJ Daniel says MTG sure as hell knows because she has already been hearing it from her district. Yeah, that's probably why we've seen her kind of change her tune a little bit. I think they're ready to primary her ass. And she's like, wait a minute. I can turn on a dime. Susie Jones says Walmart is already running on a thin line from the tariff tax. One Vision says Target thought they couldn't die. So did Sears. Those rich fucks don't care if their company collapses. The CEO are set for lifetimes. Ruben Michael says, we had a Piggly Wiggly here in Oregon. It closed down in the 60s. Wow, that's a long time ago. That's a long time ago. Jill Bratton says, hurt them now. No Amazon, Walmart, Spotify, Target. Buy what you need. Fuck Xmas this year. And I've heard talk of doing a kind of a no buy, like on Black Friday. Isn't Black Friday like the big day where everyone starts their Christmas shopping? Usually like the day after Thanksgiving. That's when they have the sales and all that. And I was watching on Riverboat Jack last night. She was playing a video message from Indivisible, the founders of Indivisible, Ezra Klein and Leah Klein, I guess, or whatever their name is. It Klein? Whatever their names are. And they were talking about, or they had heard, maybe they weren't organizing. I think they had heard about maybe a deal about not buying anything on Black Friday and all that kind of stuff. So I think, we have the power of the purse. We can hurt them at the pocketbook or hurt them at the cash register. These are some of the tools that we have, some of our weapons that we have. So yeah, fuck Christmas this year. I guess it is like Trump said, though. Instead of getting the $33, you just get him one. Just get your kid $1. You know what, Trump? We're not even going to give our kids even just one, not even $1, motherfucker. Just to spite you. Our kids will understand. Because we're going to tell them. We're going to pound it into our kids' heads that it's because of you, Trump. It's because of you that they're not getting their doll this year. And by the way, they never got $32 in one Christmas, okay? Unless they were maybe like just the rich fucks like you that would do shit like that. But the average person never bought their daughter or their kid $32. Maybe 2, maybe 3. Not 32. Luck Dragon says Bill Maher lacks empathy for stupidity while becoming dumber every day. It's okay. He's got a brainstorm too. Twisted Nerds Painting says every day must become a No King's Day if we want to throw off the shackles of fascism. Ooh, getting kind of poetic there. But yeah, and that's the other thing that Ezra and Leah were talking about this becoming, like a constant thing that we have to keep the momentum going, keep getting more and more people involved, making this a movement. And where it isn't just a march, though, it's about people getting involved with working for and helping out, say, food banks and food pantries, or helping, any type of political, like a Democratic or whatever it is, because they were saying, hey, if you're a Green Party, then fine. If you're this party, that's fine. But helping out your political party they always need volunteers to volunteer your time. They're talking about that kind of stuff, and in keeping these movements or these marches going, and not letting it die down, to keep the momentum going. And so they're going to have a whole bunch of things planned for more marches. I know for November they've already got a bunch of things going. So we're going to keep. Well, let's all keep our eyes open, and we'll promote those things. The next march, the marches, and whatever boycotts there are, anything like that. Anamore says, TJ, it won't hurt the Waltons. They have the land that they stole from the farmers. Yeah, they got everything. Jill Bratton says, vote with dollars. No kings is great, but stop spending dollars like we did with Jimmy. Like we did with Jimmy Carter. We didn't buy his peanuts anymore. Jimmy Carter was just a peanut farmer. He wasn't like a big billionaire or anything. Ruben Michaels, Oregon property taxes are high because there is no sales tax. Like I said, I think you could have your property reassessed if it's gone through a big drop in market price, market value, or real estate value. You should be able to get a reassessment. Regardless, they might still be high, but I think, would you rather pay a high tax on a high amount or a high tax on a low amount or a lower amount? All right, I'm skipping on down. We are at the 2-hour mark. One Vision says, Primos, I thought that was a joint laced with cocaine. Well, it could be both. Sometimes there are things that are named for different things. Kimchi's here. Hey, good to see Kimchi 9560. Thanks for coming on in to the old driver's lounge. Almost ready to call it a day, though. Jill Brett says, if any of you being angry folks are on Facebooks, get the F off now. I'm not sure what that means. Not really sure. Roxanne 79 says, I think gambling addiction is just as bad as crack and heroin. Yeah, gambling addictions are horrible. Absolutely. West Webb, I got a house from the government for $1. When I finally sold it 14 years later, I lost money on the deal. So you sold it for less than $1? Is that what you're trying to tell us? Twisted Nerves Painting says, right, it is the big firms that push, I guess, bank mortgages or maybe junk mortgages, then bundle them all together and bet against them on the market. Yeah. Yep. Randy Rhodes talked about that a lot. Look, Dragon says billionaires can exist. As soon as you hit $1 billion, you have to give half of your money away. West Webb says, in other words, $130 million is a drop in the bucket. What was the $130 million that you were talking about? If you're talking about paying the military, it wasn't million, it was billion. But I don't know what you're talking about. Jolie says, I got to go. I have an awful headache, and watching the screen is making it worse. Going to go lie down. Love you all, and love you too, John. Even when you're cranky, have a great day. Thank you, Jolie. Thanks for being here. Thanks for putting up with my shit. And you're probably gone already because I'm behind. But yeah, I hope your headache goes away. And I'm sure I didn't help any with my conduct today. What's Webb says 25,000 dying of hunger every day, most of them not in America. Yeah, and we had programs like USAID where we were trying to help that. We were trying to help people to not starve, but not anymore. Thanks to Elon Musk and Doge and Donald Trump and Stephen Miller and all those fuckers. DBD 5844 says, finally, Hakeem Jeffries endorsed Zoran for mayor. Like my daddy always used to say, better late than never, right? Better late than never. This is the first time hearing of it, so hopefully it's true and accurate. And good on Hakeem, and good on all the people that were complaining, and hopefully got the message to him. Because, like I've said before, our leaders will follow their constituents if they know what it is that they want. In great numbers, let's say. Like if there's just one dude wanting something, then but when you've got thousands of people or however many people complaining about like this subject or any other subject, then the leaders will follow They need to know. They need to know what they can put their reputations on. What can they risk? They don't want to risk. They don't want to. They don't want to risk their office for something that's not. If it's not like worth it. They have to know that they're going to have the backing and the support of their people, of their constituents. So I think finally, maybe the message finally got through to Hakeem. That hey, there's a lot of Democrats that are pissed off, and they're willing to support Zoran, and so maybe it finally sunk in. Maybe he was waiting for the debates. I know they've had a couple recent debates. Maybe he was waiting for that. Maybe he was waiting for. Maybe there was polling that came out after the debates. Maybe he was waiting for that. So good that he finally did. I'm glad he is endorsing Zoran, because, and that's another thing that fucking Bill Maher was saying last night. That's because I forget who was he had a woman, a female guest, and she's a former. She worked under I guess in the Biden White House. I guess she was a consultant or an advisor or somebody on staff with the Biden administration, and I forget her name, but because they did bring up the issue of the New York City mayoral race. And of course, Bill Maher was like kind of shitting on Zoran. And the woman guest, who I can't remember her name, was saying, well, Cuomo's not that great either, with his past. And then, of course, fucking Bill Maher, like, defended Cuomo and said, oh, I've interviewed him, and a lot of that stuff was just not true, or it was overblown or something like that. And that it was just misunderstood, because he's just this Italian guy that uses his hands, and maybe is a little too touchy-feely. That's an Italian thing or something like that. God, that just made me want to go and puke when I heard that. Bill Maher, you are despicable, Bill Maher. You are a despicable human being. Because Cuomo has no business ever being in any office, not even the post office, as far as I'm concerned. He had his time and he fucked it up. Okay, and the voters have pretty much decided who they like, at least for the Democratic nominee. I mean, I would almost, between Cuomo and Curtis Sliwa, just between those two, I would take Curtis Sliwa over fucking Cuomo at this point. And Sliwa is a sleazebag, in my opinion. Sliwa's a bit of a slimy sleazebag. And I would take him over Cuomo. So I'm glad to hear that Hakeem Jeffries has finally endorsed Zoran Mamdani. And whatever issues people might have with him, I don't think that they're really anything to worry about. I don't think Mamdani is a anti-Semite or whatever. But if he is, they'll run him out of there. They won't reelect him. That'll be the last we hear of him. If it turns out that he is a total, anti-Semite or whatever, he won't last. His career will be over. Ruben Michaels says military budget over $1,000 billion. $1 trillion. President Eisenhower was right about the military-industrial complex. Human F being is here, says it's what they want. I'm not sure what that was about. But hello, Human F being. Good to see you. Thanks for dropping on in to the old Driver's Lounge. I do appreciate you coming on in. Aaron West says, two of my subordinates were just hired permanent at the same level as me, and they are making more money than me. I am so upset. I would be too. That's disheartening. I don't know if there's any way you can go in and go, hey, what's up with that? I know it's kind of, you don't want to get fired, and I don't know your situation exactly, but it kind of makes you want to go in and go, hey, what the hell's the deal here? Jill Branton, it's not state level. I'm not sure what that was about because I'm behind and I don't remember what I was talking about or who was talking about, or maybe someone else was talking about something. I don't know. All right, skipping down in the chat. Kimchi says, I saw a dude creeping around my car last night. It scared me. Gonna put the air rifle behind the door. Fuck the air rifle. Get yourself an AR. No, my dad always said the best thing for home protection was a shotgun. Get you a shotgun. I know, you don't want to kill anybody. I just don't know if an air rifle would do anything. Get the kind that the fucking ICE has that shoots the pepper balls. That's the kind you should get. With my door pants? What are door pants? All right, I am skipping on down. MJ Daniels says Congress and Senate get amazing benefits, health care, pension, with COLA increases, and Republicans do not want average Americans to get the same. I think that they should make it where we make the same money they make. Give us a UBI that will pay us all the same as what a member of Congress makes, and give us all the health care that they get. Just those two things alone, I think, would be a pretty kick-ass country. Just give us a UBI that would pay us, what is 180 grand a year, whatever they make, and give us the health care and a pension. Why can't we get that? Why can't we all just get it? Could we not afford it? Probably not. I don't know. It's a lot of money. One Vision says, Trucker John, my wife said glass is back on. She can see your face and get that bug off your ear. What bug? Get that bug off your ear. Oh, bug on my ear. I'm not going to read your chats anymore, man, because it don't make any sense. Jill Brand said, Aaron West, computer nerd, it was easy, but if you have skills not appreciated by your company, you have to get your resume ready and go find the next best opportunity. Roxanne, I have never listened to Taylor Swift. It seems to me that if you listen to any radio, just like over-the-air radio, that I don't see how you could not have at least come across a Taylor Swift song at some point. In your life. Damon Dog says, that was my first live stream. Am I supposed to do something to get it to upload? It says waiting. It has blue lines on it. Is there a button I should push? Damon Dog, no. It should just do it by itself. For some reason, when you do a live stream directly from the YouTube, directly from YouTube, it does that. It takes forever for it to like upload for some reason. But when I do mine, like through Prism app, it's like immediately. It just uploads immediately. So I don't know why it does that, but it should. It just might take a few hours, or sometimes it might not be till the next day. It's just kind of weird. But I haven't had to push any extra, buttons or anything. It just takes its time to do it. Besset, Damon Dog. Yeah. Am I that far behind? Gosh, how far behind am I? Because I was talking about Besset, it seems like an hour ago. I was talking about the guy with the corn cob up his ass. Yeah, and you got the corn cob. I'm really, really super behind, guys. I didn't realize how far behind I was. It seems like I talked about that like an hour ago. Or at least 45 minutes ago. I don't know. Damon Dog says, I saw a meme of a house that was burnt down and the caption read, yeah, but that spider is dead. That's pretty funny. So yeah, I'm just skipping down because I'm way far behind. And now here's Nick. It says 1 o'clock. So I'm just now 28 minutes behind before skipping down. So I was even more behind. So yeah, we're behind and we're over 2.5 hours, and I should probably get going. I might not watch the game tonight because I do need to work, and I haven't been working. I've been watching and games and stuff, and I do need to get at least one day on this paycheck, and today's like the last day of the pay period. So I'm probably going to go and watch. I'm probably going to go work tonight and maybe just have the game playing on the radio or something. So I need to do that. So Aaron West, I almost called Aaron West Southwest. Aaron West says Trucker John has channel memberships and super chats, which we were we had 0 for 5 on my goal, and I will put that on me. That 0 for, I didn't start things off very well, and I think I put everyone in a fucking sour mood. And so I will put this 0 for on me. That's on me. But we do have channel memberships starting for as low as $1.99 a month, and they're that's a good deal, I think. And we got the super chats going. And you can also support the show by liking, subscribing, and sharing. And those are really great ways, and they don't cost you a dime. So if you consider to share the show and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. And hit the thumbs up. We're got 50 watching, 85 thumbs up. So we are acting like some pretty good Democrats and a tremendous surplus of thumbs ups, and I appreciate that. You can also buy me a coffee. There's the link there for that. And down a little further, there's the PayPal account link that you can also support the show through those ways. So thank you so much, Aaron, for posting that. I do appreciate you for doing that. Now I'm just skipping down again. Roxanne says adopt wow. Now that's interesting. So that was mid-thread. That was pretty mid-thread. One Vision says MTG knows if America turns maybe on her job and multi-million dollars goes away. She knows where her bread is buttered. Yeah, I think it's another way of putting it. All right, skipping down. Karen Ames says, I don't make Thanksgiving or Christmas dinners anymore. Roxanne79 says, you can make presents on the cheap and you can create your own family board game with construction paper and markers. Older kids will understand the lesson of responsibility and sacrifice. Yeah, make this a learning moment. A teachable moment. Looks like it might be getting a little overcast today. Anyhow, Joe Bratton, and you all know crypto, right? I don't invest in crypto. Yeah, I think it's a big scam. Total scam. Human F Being says Jimmy Carter sold his peanut farm so as to avoid even the appearance of impropriety. Now, I believe he put his farm like in a trust or something like that. I don't think he sold it. I think there was something where he put it in a trust or where someone else was going to run it for him, and he would be completely separated or whatever from the the day-to-day activities, and it was just going to be like it's as though someone else did own it, but they didn't. I think Carter still owned it, but it was put into this. I don't know if trust is the right word, but there is a word for it. But I think the idea was that after he was done being president, then he would get the farm back. But I think the person that was entrusted with running it was such a terrible either farmer or business person or both that they ended up losing the fucking thing, I think. Anyhow, so there's that. Look, Dragon says, I just threatened to send you 1,000 more beautiful pictures of California, and I'm not even out of Yosemite yet. A mid-thread, I don't know who you're sending those to. I don't know if it was me or someone else. Kimchi says, my daughter gets free room, board, phone insurance. She's going to need to buy me a new Roomba for Yule. MJ Daniels is going to go watch the University of Washington play Illinois in a little bit. Susie Jones says, in case anyone missed me in the chat, that what I was up to, I just went for a cup of coffee and then ... I don't know. 1:15 from Nick. So I'm still 18 minutes behind, even though I've been skipping down like a motherfucker. Anna Moore says, oh wow, Susie Jones, I hope it has stopped running because you could have a bigger issue. I hope not. So I'm mid-thread. I don't know what's going on with Susie Jones. Something happened. Something happened there. I'm just skipping down and I'm needle dropping. And by needle dropping, I mean I'm just like picking one out. Or I'm just, I'm like dropping the needle, right? Like an old phonograph, in case you guys don't get the reference. Twisted Nerd Painting says, from what I am hearing, I am not missing a thing there. See, I don't know what that's about. These are all mid-thread. Damon Dog says, I meant Sharky. Oh, Paul Sharky Mannion. Oh, there's Paul Sharky Mannion. So Paul Sharky Mannion from across the pond is jumping in to the driver's lounge. Thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate you. Kimchi says, it's also from the 60s and was my husband's as a child. Kind of cool. We're talking about the air rifle. Was it a Daisy pump rifle where you pumped it a million times and then you shot like a BB at someone? I might be afraid to try to confront a robber with that. I think I'd rather go with the shotgun. Or like my daddy said. Or like my daddy told me. My daddy told me the best thing of home security is a shotgun. And I said, okay, I'm going to get me a shotgun. But then pretty soon, everybody got one. Anyhow, 1:30. I'm 5 minutes behind now because I've been skipping down so much. Now I'm pretty much caught up. Twisted Nerve says, Trucker John, have a great day, John, and have a good night if you go out to get some fares. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm going to go out. I got to go out and get a day on the books. At least one day in the week on the books. Elizabeth Martinez is here. Buenos dias. Buenas tardes. John, been here from the start. Listen up. Bay leaves in kitchen drawer. There you go. No poison. That was the one. The bay leaves. Yes, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. If I ever come across some bay leaves, I maybe I'll buy some just for you, just so you suggested it. I might, and for the others, maybe I'll buy some borax and some diatomaceous earth. I'll have a whole armory of weapons against these bugs. Ruben Michaels, atmospheric river. What was the thing that Trump says? He was trying to say instant replay. When you said atmospheric river, it reminded me of Trump trying to say instant replay, and he said something so stupid. Anyhow, yeah, we got Paul Sharkey here. Abe Nurix is here. Hey, Abe, good to see you. I know that's not your real name. I just can't remember what you usually go by. But I guess that's it. I've pretty much caught up. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. We've got Elizabeth become a new member. Welcome, Elizabeth Martinez. Yippee and happy. Well, it's not really a truck anniversary, but welcome to the driver's lounge. Welcome to being a driver. I appreciate you so much. And that's really awesome, Elizabeth. I appreciate it. Welcome to being a member. And I'm going to try to get some more stuff out for you members, some more perks and things of this nature. And thank you so much. The memberships really help the channel to keep going and keep it on the air. So let's see here. So to Elizabeth, thank you so very much. That's going out to Elizabeth. Any of you who maybe haven't subscribed, maybe if you could consider subscribing, I'd really appreciate it. And who knows, you might be a lucky recipient of one of my tirades. That's what I do. I abuse my subscribers. Yeah, Trucker John, you're a fucking idiot. I thought it was my job to harass and harangue, the subscribers, and that's my job, Trucker John. What are you doing? You're taking my job away. I thought I had job security. I thought I was the asshole. But no, you got to be the asshole. You're just not satisfied, right? Look, Trucker John, leave it to me. It's my job. It's a Tough Cookie's job to come in and berate people, not you. I'm supposed to be your buffer zone. Let me be the buffer zone, Trucker John. All right? So you don't have to take the heat. That's the deal. That's why I exist. You don't seem to get it, Trucker John. So from now on, if you got a beef with one of the people that comes in here, then you leave it to me. That's my job. That's not your job. You got it? Yeah, I got it. Tough Cookie. Okay, I get it. Yeah, all right. I got you. Just chill out. Just take a chill pill, man. Just take a chill. Don't berate anyone, either one of you guys. Come on, man. This is supposed to be, this is supposed to be the Trucker John Livestream where everyone's chill and you're supposed to just hang out and have a good time. No one is supposed to come in here and feel like they're gonna get yelled at. What's that all about? You guys really need to take more, be a little bit more like me. I think I'm pretty chill. You don't see me yelling at people, do you? I never yell at anybody. So I'm a little let down by both of you, quite honestly, Trucker John and Tough Cookie, with this whole yelling at people and all that. No, we don't. No, I'm gonna put my foot down. I'm putting my foot down. We don't do that around here. All right, or else I'll leave. I'll just leave. You'll never see old purple beard guy ever again. I don't want to ever see that again, Trucker John. You hear me? Do you hear me? This is me yelling right now, by the way. That was me yelling. All right, I hear you. I got the message loud and clear, Paul. Purple beard guy. I got the message loud and clear. All right. Apparently, I've got a bug on my ear. I got to go. I don't know. Someone said I had a bug in my ear. So I got to go take care of that. I'll see you guys again Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific time zone. It'll be right after Hal Sparks Show. So one way to remember, because sometimes people they get it mixed up. Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, Hal Sparks does not have a show. So I know not all of you, some of you might not even know who Hal Sparks is, but I do think about 90% of you in here probably know who Hal Sparks is. You're sparklers. Most of you are sparklers. So just remember, I usually will come on right after the Hal Sparks Show on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. I just come on right after Hal. But on Tuesdays and Thursdays, there is no Hal Sparks Show, at least in the morning. There's no morning show. And so I guess that's a way of remembering. It's like, oh, there's no Hal this morning, but there's Trucker John. Yeah. Trucker John should be on at that time, on the usual Hal Sparks time. Anyhow, just something, I'm just trying to help you guys to remember, to remember it. All right, guys. So the only thing left to do is, you know the drill. The only thing really left to do is the words of wisdom. And this one's going to be fitting, and it's kind of funny. I already how it just worked out because I already had this all lined up for today's words of wisdom, and they were dealing about sort of like anger issues, and so it's kind of fitting for today's show. So you might want to write this down, get a pad and pen, and get ready for today's words of wisdom. Okay, you guys ready? Did I give you enough time to get your pad and pen out? Okay, so guys, just remember for today's words of wisdom, they go like this. Okay, so always make sure.
Well, it's time to say goodbye. The show has come to an end. But don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again. We'll have some fun times, hopefully nothing too bad. We might talk about war crimes. Might talk about Baghdad. I doubt we'll talk about door chimes. But if we did, I'd be only too glad. So hasta la vista, baby. The show is over, but could I ask you maybe to take a shower? No, that's not what I meant, but I couldn't think of anything to rhyme with over. Now my whole rhyming scheme is all screwed up. Oh shit, I should have stuck to truck driving, who I tried to kill. At least when I was out there driving, I could handle a skid, but doing this live stream, baby, has been a real kid. So I hope to see y'all again right here on the Trucker John Livestream. We're gonna do it again and again, right here in the Trucker John Livestream. Yeah, the Trucker John Livestream. We're gonna come back and do it all again. No, this ain't no dream. This is where we win, right here on the Trucker John Livestream. No, it's time to say goodbye. The show is coming in. But don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again.
Rolling down the highway in my rusty old rig. I'm a retired trucker, but my spirit's still big. Living in Vegas, where the lights never sleep. Broadcasting my thoughts for the world to keep. From politics to pop culture, I've got it all. Sharing my views, no matter how big or small. Talking about food, the movies and bugs. Shining a light on all the social issues. No shrugs, I've driven through the desert, seen the city so bright. But now I'm living in a different kind of fight. From my apartment in Las Vegas, I hold the key, exploring the world through my live stream for free. My apartment in Las Vegas, I hold the key, exploring the world through my live stream for free.
So you want to take a trip down Paradise Road, but it ain't that pretty, it ain't paved with gold. Everybody's got the dirty little secrets, everybody's got some things unknown. But if you ain't real careful, baby, it'll cut you down to the bone. Under all those bright lights, you've gotta learn to ignore the glitter. It's all about fight or flight, and you don't wanna do either. So go on down to Paradise Road, it'll make you wish that you were young. But all it'll do is make you feel old and regret trading in your love for lust. It's all just a big charade, it's all just one big game, and it ain't about love. It's all about the thrills, it's about staying in the hunt, it's about going in for the kill. So head on down to Paradise Road, that's where your friends are now. They're the people that nobody knows. So go ahead and make your big show. So live it up on Paradise Road, just don't let anyone know. It'll be your dirty little secret, it'll be your guilty little pleasure. Living a secret that the whole world sees, hiding in plain sight among the scum and the thieves. It's so damn hard to ever be pleased. Everyone wants to live the good life, everybody wants a piece of paradise. But where would you run? Where would
would you hide? What would you do to buy a little more time? Grandiose dreams of happily ever after are really just another day's end. And when the sun goes down, you just lay there wondering, can you really do it all again? You're praying for one last shot, you're hoping for one last big win. Paradise Road is calling, so you better hurry along. Paradise Road is calling, so you better hurry along.
Show's over. I'm out of here, folks. Bye.